Why History Matters, a historical analysis of making room in the clinic, nurse practitioners, and the evolution of modern healthcare by Julia Fairman. Julia Fairman gives an in-depth description of the implementation and evolution of the nurse practitioner position in the healthcare field, focusing on the 1960s and 1970s. As the practicing nurse has evolved from bedside nurse all the way through specialized nurse practitioner, change was met with hefty resistance. Nurses continued to evolve in their clinical judgment, so doctors feared losing control of their patient population. At the same time, nurse practitioners fought to climb out from under constant condensation of doctors to become their partners in practice. Due to the interest in specialized medicine, nurse practitioners had to fill the void left in general medicine, specifically in rural communities. History as pedagogy. The mission of the nursing historian is to provide some sort of explanatory or perhaps alternative frame to ideas, experiences, and episodes that seem inherently unrelated or structurally intransient. Fairman. Nurses have come a long way from the common bedside nurse. It is important to learn from the nurse's struggle for respect and recognition. The AMA, or American Medical Association, and the ANA, the American Nurses Association, struggled throughout the 1960s and 1970s to define clinical practice standards and create clinical relationship between doctors and nurse practitioners. History as evidence. History is not just facts or content. It is an approach to data that examines actions and events in the light of context. Nelson. From the mid-1960s on, the labeling difficulties surrounding the new providers were part of the politics of nursing and medicine. Numerous new categories of practitioners, such as physician's assistants, nurse practitioners, nurse associates, and various medical and surgical assistants, emerged and contributed to the already complex dialogue surrounding healthcare professionals. The AMA and the ANA tried to collaborate in defining the standards of practice and licensing avenues for nurse practitioners, but had a difficult time communicating, so the feat seems impossible. Through the many subcommittees formed to hash out the details, we learned that each organization was not ready to relinquish control. The task was only finished decades later, as the organizations finally realized how to compromise on their demands. History as an explanation. As more physicians entered highly complex specialties and subspecialties, nurse practitioners and their physician colleagues grasped the opportunity to develop different avenues for providing health services to address the needs of chronically ill, elderly, and well populations. This drive to specialize came about after World War II. Federal funding made it easier to practice an acute care subspecialty, and doctors providing general medicine were forced to cover patient populations upward of 2,500 people. This is when the push for nurse practitioners began. Nurses' leadership could be found in everyday actions such as developing well child care, instruction, and self-help programs, and served to provide a structure to test and try out new types of healthcare services. Today, we still have large populations, mainly rural, who have to drive upwards of 30 miles to receive medical care. Nurse practitioners have once again become the answer to increasing coverage needs created by the policies like the Affordable Care Act. Nurses' success in moving policy forward will depend on their ability to give voice to a historical perspective that recognizes the political and contextual forces that shape healthcare and places nurses and nursing at the center of long-standing debates about healthcare services, delivery, and knowledge formation, patient safety, technology, and education for practice. Thank you.